Hey, everybody, before we get into the podcast, I just want to let you know about our sponsors. It's a film called Sir John A. and the Curse of the Antiquenched. It's fun comedy, and you can get it on Vimeo on demand right now for only $2.99. Check out curseoftheantiquenched.com. Next sponsor on the podcast, if you want to support the podcast, you can head over to our website, raidersoftheLostCommentary.com. Click on the Amazon banner. It'll take you to Amazon, and if you're buying something on there, it'll not cost you anything. It'll kick us a few bucks, and we really appreciate you doing so.
You telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Welcome to the Raiders of the Lost Commentary podcast.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
The unofficial commentary for your favorite
Get to the chopper!
and not so favorite films.
The famous comedian Arnold Braunschweiger.
Starring your hosts Adam and Matt.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Start your movie in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. So this week on the podcast, we're changing it up a bit, and we're talking about ourselves. We're going to cover a short film we made a few years ago called Getting Away. It's been in a number of festivals, won some awards, and most recently, it'll be streaming on the Roku network on the Bloody Disgusting's horror channel, and we're pretty happy about it. So on the podcast with me, I have Matt LaMarche, who is a regular on the podcast, and then I have the star of the film, Monica Zellick. How are you two doing today?
Fantastic.
So yeah, we made this thing back in 2017. Premiered at the Kingston Film Festival in 2018. And yeah, ever since then, it just keeps on getting into film festivals, keeps on winning awards, getting nominations, all these different things.
Kind of getting annoying. I keep seeing like, hey, Matt, like we got into this other one. Oh, great. Why don't you
And
just
another
tell me
one.
when it's not getting into one, okay?
And another one. And another
that's
one.
really telling of your life, Matt, that you're annoyed by success. And not to mention your own success. You're like, oh, stupid.
Yeah. Stupid.
So yeah, I thought I'd just bring everybody through like the making of this thing. So I set out to want to make a short that had no dialogue in it, and so obviously began writing the script. And I think I ran it by you, Matt, pretty early on, and like, hey, this is something.
If you want to make a successful script, you got to run it by me.
Well, that's just it. But yeah, we were starting to do the podcast too at the time, and yeah, so we went back and forth on it a few times. What do you remember from that first draft, Matt?
Oh man, I remember having a lot of like questions to making sure it makes sense in terms of like plot wise, which is like, well, if the power goes out, why is there still internet? And like all these questions, and like Adam's like, Matt, no one's gonna care.
Yeah, you know what's
You're
funny?
thinking way too much about this.
Yeah, well, it is kind of funny, eh? Like we scrutinize stuff all the time, and we're like, oh, technically this wouldn't work, or technically that wouldn't happen, and you waste all this time thinking about something. But if it's just kind of cool, people are like, oh, neat.
Yeah, people will just complain about the low seasoning of the roast.
That's the biggest criticism we got so far. Is that it wasn't seasoned enough.
Oh my god. Yeah, people notice everything.
It's just one of those
Except
things,
for the
I
one
guess,
thing.
So we're gonna do a live commentary for it. I'm sure we'll talk after the film is done. But if you want to check this out, you can check it out on the Roku network on Bloody Disgusting's channel and just search for Getting Away. If you don't have that, well, we're sorry, and this might be a little bit boring, but hopefully it'll have a bit of insight on the making of an indie film, since we did make this pretty cheap. It was around $800, and it was a lot of just small crew and just a bunch of favors to get it done. So anyways, we're going to all hit play in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, we got the Slinger Pictures, Adam's company name.
Logo!
It's not. It's never legit unless there's a logo at the start of the film.
Yeah, I know. I've been putting logos on my stuff since like high school or even prior to that. It's like I had the classic MGM like a ripoff where it was just me, but instead of the lion. Man, I thought it was
That's
cool back then.
I wish that was still your logo. That's actually your old car too, right, Matt?
It's still my car.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you got rid of it yet. I haven't seen you in a long time.
That's true.
Absolutely love
And
that
that's-
music. It's so
Yeah, the
ominous.
music's pretty great, eh?
Yeah, it's very old school.
I wanted like that like 1980s John Carpenter kind of feel to
Yeah.
the movie, so I think it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy.
I still
with
can't
it.
get over like how we got like cool lightning effects in this.
Right, yeah, it was pretty like low budget way of doing it too.
It's just like lights flashing. Like a giant light flashes.
Yeah, just camera flashes.
And everyone loves what you did with the
Oh my god, so
with
good.
the how would you call that? Like the screen grab, the texting sides.
Yeah, well,
And I
was,
cut my finger.
yeah, she cut her finger.
Where's the band-aid?
Oh, that's right.
It
Do we
does
see
show
it
up.
next?
Does it eventually show up?
It shows up eventually. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Bought those white masks on Amazon for pretty cheap. Funny enough, now I'm remembering this. I think I ordered a bunch of like white masks and a trench like the Get Up Matt wears in the film, and some fake blood. And it showed up to my neighbor's house apartment, and he knocked on the door and it was open and everything. Right, he had opened it up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this came in the mail. I think it's yours." I'm like, "You opened it?" He's like, "Yeah, I thought it was mine." I'm like, "Did you order anything?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Then why'd you look into it?"
That's illegal.
I don't know.
It turned out it wasn't anything I wanted, so I gave it to you.
Yeah. I've been lucky enough to watch this in a theater a few times, and whenever Matt, when you show up in the window there, people like that either gets one of two reactions. Either people are like, "Oh," like they're scared, or people laugh like out of fear.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I could see it because it's just like, what the hell?
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
right in front of you.
You stupid.
But yeah, to go back to the phone thing, spend like a ton of time like thinking about how that would look, and in all honesty, I was like, well, just make it an iPhone. Like, how does the iPhone work? And then I just from scratch recreated.
Yeah, you never see like I hate when they do that and like they create their own thing in movies, and you're just like, it doesn't feel real because it feels like completely different. Like, that's
Yeah.
not how that phone works. Or like you see like computer screens, they're like, that's not how computers work.
Well, it is strange because you're like, well, I don't know. It takes the audience out of it for a second, and we have such little time to show them,
It's true.
something that goes on here. So, I'll say another thing that happened at a festival that we went to in Hamilton. They asked for a copy of the film, and we screened it. We gave them a 4K copy, but they screened everything in HD and didn't check anything. So it was just a punched in tiny little close up of the center of the screen. That was a bit of a nightmare. Another thing too, like this was super small crew. Like, it was me behind the camera,
Yeah.
Matt being the AD, and then also Matt acting in it.
Yeah.
And then we had Matt Bell, who plays the boyfriend, running the flashes out of camera and also taking all these photos that are being texted.
Yeah. A crew of like 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
And like and then Monica doing the cooking.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever put a woman in the kitchen, okay? We don't belong there.
We starved.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank God
the
for
starving
Adam's
was kind of
cooking.
your fault, though, Adam.
I take.
We didn't eat till 5 a.m. But
Well,
that food, it was very good.
You brought your
I don't
own
remember-
McDoubles.
Huh? Did I?
I remember you brought McDoubles, and I was like,
It's a long trip, okay? I probably like bought some for like the road, okay?
Yeah,
Like, it's like going to Billy K's. I grabbed like 10 hot dogs, no big deal. Just like eating for the road, Some road hot dogs.
I remember too. I really wanted it to be raining, and then I had hose and everything ready to go, but there was just no way we're going to be able to film it all in one night and make fake
If
rain.
you wanted to add rain to me, I would have killed you. I already got sick.
Yeah, because it was cold.
It was so cold.
It was cold.
It was pretty cold, yeah.
And you're running around like your underwear. Oh my god!
it's
And like
horrible.
and barefoot.
I know, right?
Yeah, especially that last shot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, you did it. Now it's on camera.
Yeah. And
Film
Matt,
lasts forever. Pain only is temporary, right?
exactly.
I think one of the only other criticisms I've gotten from it is that they don't believe that you could have fought off Matt there at the door.
Clearly, she doesn't know that I'm not very strong at all.
And clearly they don't know how
Like-
strong I am.
It's all
Exactly,
those. It's all those
okay?
McDoubles.
Gave me all that
Wait, McDoubles
protein.
make me weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, what you don't know, the motivation right here, it's not the bite that makes him leave, it's the McDoubles he had to take a poop. Okay?
I gotta go
He
outside.
really had to go.
I've gotta go outside. This always gets like a laugh too for whatever reason. The chainsaw people.
I think it's the sounds very because like you hear it so much in like video games, right?
Yeah.
It feels so video gamey in terms of like sound. Just the chainsaw. Plus, it's also the fact you never actually see it, right?
Yeah.
Like
No.
you never see the wielding of the chainsaw, which hopefully hint might make a comeback for the sequel / remake / feature.
Yeah, basically just a feature version.
Yeah, when I hear the chainsaw and I see the door, I was like half expecting the chainsaw to go through the door.
I think we wanted it to go through the door, and then we ran out of time and budget and all that.
For sure.
I've thought about trying to do that shot and just like cut a chainsaw through some green paper and some other wood, or just a completely different door and try and match it in. That stab shot worked out pretty good too, I think.
Yeah, the classic just wearing a belt.
Yeah.
Oh no. Maybe you should pay attention and read your text.
I saw the Band-Aid on my thumb there too.
But yeah, that was a simple gag. And just cut a knife in half and taped it to a belt and then put it in a shirt. And then we stabbed a dummy made of a mic
Yeah.
stand in a box.
I think that's like the last shot we did.
Yeah, because I think we shot it in the morning.
Yeah, I just remember stabbing something, I think.
Yeah.
I remember being part of. I don't know. I don't remember if I was the one stabbing, or it must have been Monica stabbing. But I think I remember putting that thing together, or trying to hold it together. That thing was weak. It was like
Oh,
on a
yeah.
stand, and it was like it was not holding right.
Yeah, we I think we had like a longer bit at the end of the movie too, like with more text before he pops out of the background. But yeah, that.
So
that
I've
was
got
it.
some criticisms.
You always have criticism.
He is clearly a magical killer, because how the hell does he get in a car without that light in the car turning on without her noticing? Okay,
He was in the car the
Okay.
whole time.
Yeah, that's what I was.
was he? How did he get
was.
the picture?
Well,
Well,
he had it stored in his phone the whole time.
But he had a picture of her already in the car? Done that up. Done that up.
Oh, I
Done
see
that
what you're
up,
saying.
Adam.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. Okay.
we,
Comprende.
Yeah, let's just not look over that part.
you know what's funny too is no one's
It's a
ever
horror movie. You gotta-
no
you
one's
gotta
ever
suspend.
no one's ever asked that. They're just like, oh yeah, obviously.
No,
he's-
yeah, exactly.
That's so funny.
No one cares.
No one noticed
People-
No
that.
one cares.
People expect him to be in the back of the car. They're like, if he's
That's
not in the
true.
back, they'll be angry with you.
I would change the ending, but that's just me. Make
Yeah,
it more
but
believable.
you want stuff to like make 100% sense though. Like you need it
Yeah.
to make 100%
It
sense.
needs like in life, I need the answers to everything. I'm that kid that asks why on everything.
Nice.
I think the problem is there isn't answers to everything in real life.
Yeah.
And I think
That's why the things we make have to all make sense, Adam. They must have sense somewhere.
there's so many things in movies that are very glaring,
Oh yeah.
but they're still like some of my favorite movies. But I don't know. Is there something like in a movie that whatever takes you completely out of it? Like, is there something you remember like this makes no sense? I hate this movie. I'm turning it off.
I mean, I'll probably get hate for it, and I don't know how far you guys are in The Boys, but I love how they did it and they make fun of it. But it's the girl power from Avengers Endgame felt super like it took me out of it for a second. I was like, what? But they like weren't they just fighting here and that person was fighting there, and all of a sudden they're just all here like that? Like I get what they're doing. Like all for girl power, absolutely. It just threw me off a little bit.
Like in Endgame, you felt like it was
In Endgame, well, yeah, because like Spider-Man was there, and then all of a sudden he's not, and every single woman shows up, and you're like, one, Captain Marvel can handle this alone, and then you got freaking Scarlet Witch who can handle her own shit too, but you got like people like, I mean, nothing against Wasp, but then you've got.
Okay, you do realize this is a superhero movie and not a horror movie.
All I'm saying is it just took me out a little bit out of it, okay?
Okay.
It's a scene that took me out of it because of it just came out of nowhere and it didn't make sense with the rest of the continuity.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
It was weird that the Wasp showed up just because she was supposed to be trying to fix the quantum whatever thing.
They were all kind of doing their own thing across a battlefield, and all of a sudden they're all there.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it kind of tossed me out of it for a second. But like the same thing like we were just talking about, when you clearly see something's not real or it doesn't look like it looks so fake, like people on their computers or people on their phones, and it's just like, that's not how that works. Me, it's like hacking movies or people when they go hacking, or like when you actually really think about me, it's the when you watch something like an investigation show. Like every cop show does that. It's like, all right, show me what you got. And they got like this clicker just going through this presentation that it's like, what? You put it like, you know how long that would take just to put that together? And now you guys are all joining in and talking at the exact same time as the images are working together? Like, no, that's not real life. You can't do that.
What about
things like that throw me out.
Yeah, but then
NCIS was bad like that.
But if it was all like jumbled, people would lose interest. They want it like nice and neat.
I get why, but sometimes if you look too deep into something, clearly you'll find errors, or you clearly like you find the imperfections of course. They did it this way because it's visually pleasing and visually like they're trying to tell exactly what's supposed to happen, but. I don't know. So like I look too much into things sometimes, and that does ruin certain things. Also, I'm very good at figuring out what's gonna happen. I know my girlfriend hates me for it because like sometimes I'll be like, oh, and she's like, shut up, Matt. And I'm like, oh, I need a piece of paper, and I'll write it down on a piece of paper and like put it on the table. I'm like, watch, just read it after, and the movie ends with the twist or whatever. And I open up the piece of paper, like, see, I called it like 20 minutes in,
That's so true.
That would be annoying if you just tried to spoil movies constantly.
It's not that I try to spoil, but you're just like, oh, yeah, this is totally the bad guy. Or like, oh, no, they're totally going to die. Or, oh, yeah, no, this is all fake. It's not real. It makes sense to me. So it's just like, well, people obviously get that too, right? And then like I turn over, it's like, all right, you didn't catch that.
Well, there would be no movie.
Yeah, no, they're probably going to be fine. Sorry.
There'd be no movie without that, little stupidity. Like if she didn't trip over that branch, then the killer wouldn't have that much extra time to get to her. Blah blah blah.
I saw a video of like what you don't see in a horror movie. So you see like the victim running away from a Michael Myers type, and he's like very slow, and then she runs away, and it's like what you don't see, and then you see him like jump over fences and awkwardly trying to get to a new place, and then like back to the movie, and he's like just standing there all of a sudden, then like what you don't see, he's like running again,
losing his breath and everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually think about that's like how else is he going to show up every time?
Right.
Just walking places.
Keeps
like how
walking,
does he get to
man.
those
He
things?
just keeps walking. That's his.
That's. I mean, he even walks underwater. Like they take a boat from like the ocean to like New York, and he's just walking underwater, and he arrives like a minute after them. Impossible.
You mean Jason in New York or whatever.
Yeah, Jason Takes Manhattan.
That one.
It's my favorite one.
They're-
It's so good and ridiculous.
They're never in Manhattan. They're in Manhattan for like 5 seconds. They're on
Isn't
the
that the
boat.
ending?
They're on the boat like the whole
Oh yeah,
time.
I know they're on the boat almost the entire. But the ending when they actually go to Manhattan, and he punches the guy's head off.
That was the best part
Like-
of that movie.
I know, but it's when he's walking underwater. I'm like, oh, this ain't Pirates of the Caribbean.
I don't think I've seen
uh,
that.
Pirates of the Caribbean stole it. Yeah, you know what?
I mean, it makes more sense in Pirates.
I was watching a lot of those movies when I was writing Getting Away. So
But there's nothing wrong with just a killer that's just there to just kill. There's not really any motivation, and you know what? He can show up randomly places, right? Like I think it. Like obviously, I look at it, I see it, and it's also it doesn't help. Like when I saw the script, that these are things that I saw immediately, so it's always in my brain when I keep watching it, but people don't notice it, and they don't need to notice it because it's not that kind of movie.
yeah,
Right.
Like
know
you don't
what?
need to pay attention that in terms of that because there's like, you know what, the killer's gonna win or the killer's gonna get, like, they expect him to be in the back seat. Does it make sense for him to be in the back seat? Technically, if you think about it, no. But he's in the back seat and no one questions it.
No. I don't know. I think because deep down people have this like fear of things like that happening, so they just assume no matter what, even though their doors are locked, the killer will be inside or under their bed or in their sock drawer or something.
Right.
So
I could see you. You're hiding behind the couch. Ah, crap! Turn around.
yeah, I don't know what are some of your both favorite horror films?
Horror
Me,
films.
well, I mean, I'm sure, Monica, you like, I think you're into the kind of the horror.
I like all of it. I think the last one I saw, I haven't been in theaters obviously in forever, but one of the main ones I saw last when I was in the theater, I think was in high school, and it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was the remake, and it was a lot of fun, and it's fun
The
being scared
originals-
sometimes, right? Getting the shit scared out of you.
The original is still scary. I watched it for the first
Never
time.
seen it.
It's pretty freaky. It's like a
It
low
is.
budget, pretty. Yeah, I think because it's low budget and because some moments of it feel kind of real,
Yeah.
it makes it kind of that much more scary. But
Exactly.
there's
And
a
then they
few,
always have that, like, like based, inspired by true events. Like, and the one thing that's inspired is like, oh yeah, this guy Ed Gein used to take off
People's
people's
faces,
faces and
yep.
put it on. Like, okay, that's what's true. Nothing else is true. But okay.
yeah, but it's
Lies.
better. It's better when you do that, because people are like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt, what about you?
Like, I did not like horror movies growing up. I was a big scaredy cat. I was scared of like movie trailers.
Really?
Like big time. I was scared of everything, and like I remember, I remember watching like The Sixth Sense, and that was terrifying. And then like my buddy,
Have you
was
watched it
super
recently?
into horror movies. Yeah, actually,
it's
I watched
not
it. I watched.
scary at all.
It's not scary.
It's
not scary.
sad.
You know what? You want to know something crazy? My girlfriend had never seen it, and she watched it, and she in her like 28 years, she's never known the ending of this film. I don't know
Oh.
how.
What?
Like, how did no one ruin this for her? Because she watched it and was actually surprised by the ending. I too was like, wait, you didn't know?
Okay.
You didn't know it was Bruce Willis all along?
So on the topic of M. Night movies and plot points that make no sense, at no point does the kid ever say, "Hey, I'm hanging out with this older man."
Right.
It's just like, yeah, it's just assumed. Oh, whatever, that he was hired to whatever be his doctor, but the mom never asked what he did to that day. Like, are you seeing people? And he's never like, oh yeah, I made a lot of progress with my therapist.
Yeah,
What?
it obviously, if you think about it, but like rewatching it, knowing the ending, it does hold up. Obviously, if you look too much into it, like Adam said, but it actually does hold. Like, there is never any conversations with Bruce Willis. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, it's kind of cool.
You know what the other
But
Shyamalan Shyamalan movie that makes absolutely no sense is Signs.
The Happening.
Yeah.
Really? I'd say it's The Happening.
I didn't see it
Signs?
happening.
Like Signs is fun.
And the
But like,
village.
so the whole
I know. You're talking about the water thing?
the
like,
whole
why come
weakness,
to a-
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, not only that, but if you think about it, there's the night scenes where the aliens are running around and running in the cornfields and running across the grass, right? What
Yeah.
happens at night, especially in the country? There's dew on everything.
Dew everywhere, yeah.
The alien will be
That's true.
dead inside of a minute.
I feel like the water thing was kind of probably a connection to kind of War of the Worlds where they get killed
Yeah.
by bacteria.
No,
I feel like that's what he was
exactly
trying to do is like his thing, right? I will say one part scared the crap out of me. It's the weirdest thing. I always remember it. It's the birthday party video footage of like the Bigfoot style. Like of the, I mean, it straight up looks like big, like the way they do it, right? It's all blurry, and
oh,
all of a sudden
yeah.
you see him like pop on the screen. Scared the crap out of me as a kid.
It was
every
pretty good.
time. Oh my god, super scary.
My favorite
But-
thing though is Scary Movie with the the cow or the horse taking a dump, and then the guy in the shitty alien suit
That's the
walks.
third one.
Yeah.
that's the third one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one in a while. I've only seen I've seen 1 and 2 a lot, but I don't remember seeing 3 too much. But I should because of Signs.
So
What's your favorite movie, Adam? What's your favorite horror movie? What's your favorite scary movie?
The Thing, John Carpenter.
Nice.
That is good.
I love
You know-
a lot of John Carpenter's.
Have you seen The Fog, the original?
No.
It's like I watched it recently. It's so quick.
Yeah.
Like it's like an hour and a half, but it feels like it's like 20 minutes. Cause nothing really like I don't. It's hard to describe, but it's a fog.
Is that
So
Thomas
it's
Jane?
a very slow film. Like it's a very like right because fog has to roll in, but there's not much in terms of what happens. It's hard to describe without ruining what actually happens in the movie. But like I remember going like, okay, stuff is happening. I check. I'm like, there's like 10 minutes left. What the hell?
Is that with Thomas Jane? That one?
No, you're talking about The Mist, the Stephen King one.
oh,
no,
yeah.
The Fog. Like it's one from like the 70s or early 80s.
And that's Carpenter too.
John Carpenter.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
John Carpenter and
one of the ones
Deborah
I
Hill.
haven't. One of the ones I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's I liked it and it's got a cult following, but it's a very quick movie because of like it's literally just a fog rolling in. Of course, there's things in the fog, but nothing really develops in terms of like it's definitely not a killer on the loose going around killing people. Like it's just
Yeah, eh?
kind of just a fog that just shows up and things
He's,
happen and then it's gone. And then it
always
comes
found
back
him-
and then it's gone. Huh?
I always found him pretty interesting just because he did bigger, budget stuff, but then he also did like smaller movies like that or like the original Escape from Precinct 13.
Yeah.
And
Or
like
Escape from New York.
yeah, well that was more of like a pretty larger budget for the time,
I
right?
feel like it wasn't that. Like I feel like he works like even when he does big budget movies, they're still not that big.
Yeah. But
Um,
yeah, he was always an inspiration just because of like that can-do attitude and his willingness
Yeah.
to like, the next movie I do doesn't have to be something huge. It could just be a small, low-budget horror with no-name actors,
yeah,
just to go shoot something.
like
I'll make the music
I-
myself, all that,
absolutely. Like when we watched Halloween, that was the first time I had ever seen it. We watched it, I think, last Halloween for the podcast.
Yeah,
And it was so good.
it's
It
great.
was
Eh?
so good.
The
It's really good. There's like barely any gore in it. It's all just like suspense.
it is.
Like you see stabs, but like there's almost nothing. Like if you compare it to like horror movies these days, like it's like gore fest compared to like the first Halloween. It's just completely different. One of the first horror movies I saw was Halloween 5, and that was my friend who was like, yeah, you come over, we'll sleep over, and we'll watch Halloween 5. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't think so. And he's like, no, it'll be fine. So we watched, and of course, me, as like being scared, I try to make light of it. So I was riffing on the film because it made me feel better. But later that night, we're in bed, and then all of a sudden, like at the top of his lungs, he screams, oh my God, it's Michael!
Oh my
Needless to
goodness.
say, I had to have my parents pick me up.
No way.
I could not
no.
stay over. I
That's
couldn't.
funny.
I couldn't. I was terrified. But I will say my favorite horror movie is actually Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Those
Yeah,
are great
yeah.
too, but they're like campy fun. I don't know.
I think, but that's what got me like more into watching the other ones, like because like I watched like Evil Dead 2 again, similar kind of story, except now I'm in like I'm actually in high school. I'm old now. We're playing poker one night, and he's like, "All right, let's finish tonight. Let's watch like Evil Dead 2." And I have no idea what this is, and I'm like, I start freaking out, like my scared starting to come. I'm like, "Oh, you don't know, maybe." And everyone's like, "Yeah, that sounds good." I'm like,
That's
"Oh,
funny.
okay, yeah, let's do that." And I watch it, and of course, I'm like, "Oh, this isn't actually that scary."
That's funny.
Like
My
it's
mom
actually kind of
would,
it's actually kind of fun.
My mom would
but what
watch these types of movies, like scary, really scary shit when we were kids, and we'd just be in the room. She's like, "Just don't look at it," but like you can't look away.
You can't
right?
not look at it. Yeah.
She's watching like The Exorcist, right? And then,
Oh no, that's something like I feel like anything regarding like religious and like exorcisms, that's the scariest for me. And that's what
Me
I try to
too.
stay away
Me
from.
too.
Like slasher movies, just a random killer going around, like Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, like Nightmare on Elm Street, not a problem.
Yeah.
Then you get things like The Exorcist. I stay away from I want to see it for its like film merit and saying like, yeah, I've watched it, but I don't want to because I feel like I know what's happened. I'm like, that's fine, but I don't like that kind of movie.
no,
There's still that inner Matt that
The
you
inner
know, is
child.
Like, no. The poor innocent child. I'll do one last story. I have a lot of stories of me not wanting to watch horror movies, but this one's the best.
Yeah.
Actually it's like I think it's 2000. It's the year 2000. 10-year-old Matt. He's on the computer. He's on the computer. He's playing like the Game of Life from the cereal box game.
Aw,
It's
yes.
terrific.
General Mills.
And then and then his dad gets home. He brought some movies from the local we didn't even have a Blockbuster where I was from.
The local dépanneur.
corner store. Yeah, the local dépanneur. And I'm like, all right, a movie time. I look at the case. I look at the movie. My heart sinks. It's The Mummy, 1999. And I'm like, oh shit, I've seen trailers for this. This looks terrifying. I don't want to watch it.
Brendan
The Mummy
Fraser?
with Brendan Fraser?
Obviously, this is one of my favorite movies now.
Okay.
This is 10-year-old Matt, right?
Okay.
I absolutely love The Mummy. It's so good.
But just based
But
on the
like, I'm
cover.
like, no, I don't want to watch this. So like, I'm on the computer pretending like I'm super busy. And I remember my dad's like, you don't want to watch it with us? And I'm like, no, I got to finish this game. I got to do. He's like, oh, okay. Like you just feel the disappointment. Like, oh. And then like my younger sister, she's like 8 at this point, and I like Mummy has very good audio and it sounds scary. Just the beginning, I can hear it in the other room and it's loud. And all of a sudden, my sister comes in. And I'm on the computer trying to not to finish. And she's like, oh my! Obviously, this is in French, but she's like, oh my god, they cut off his tongue and threw bugs, and the bugs are eating him. And she's laughing and runs away. And I'm like, oh!
That was pretty traumatic as a kid watching that scene. But now you watch it and you're like, this is it's a fun movie.
Oh, it's a fun, yeah. Like it's the thing of you just realize, you know what? Like most horror movies are kind of fun and campy, and even the ones that are more like I've seen like a few of them like, oh, this is super scary, and I watch them like, yeah, is it though? I mean, it doesn't help. Like you can see things coming nowadays, so you just prepare yourself for it. You're like, oh yeah, there he is. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Monica,
This'll
is
probably
there
happen.
Is there a film you watched when you were a kid that really freaked you out?
Probably Exorcist. When I went to my girlfriend's, I don't know, it was her birthday party. I don't even know how she got a copy of this VHS, but it was for her birthday party. We all went into her room, lights, popcorn, all that. I think we were maybe 8 or 9.
Oh boy.
Put it in the VHS thingy, and I think we got through maybe 20 minutes, half hour. She's more scared than I am. She screams at everything. We all screamed. We ran out of the room. Nobody wanted to touch the VCR. Nobody wanted to touch the VHS tape. We were just like, no, we're done. We're good. Bye.
Did you ever finish it?
I, honest to God, don't think I've ever fully watched that movie from beginning to end in one sequence.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what's more shocking is what they had her saying.
Yeah.
Just as
Oh
an
yeah.
actor.
That of course. You're like, whoa.
or doing, or like again, I have never seen it, but I know what kind of happens, and I'm like, man, they do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Wow.
they didn't care. Like the censors didn't care at the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That was pretty
Is
crazy.
there something you watched recently that still freaked you out?
I think the other scary movies that I like that really scare me that are like you don't have control over, like the Paranormal Activity stuff where it's just like some friggin' force in the room and like it's moving shit and like you're getting dragged out there. That scares the crap out of me. I don't like that.
Yeah.
The,
It's do you guys remember the fifth? Not the fifth.
the fourth kind.
It's
The fourth
the fourth
yeah, with the
kind.
aliens.
That freaked me out too.
That is freaky, man.
So
Like obviously it's all
freaky.
fake, but like when they start like levitating and shaking, like I start like the hair, like the hairs
Oh,
rise
goosebumps,
up. You're like, oh,
yeah. And then he starts
no.
talking that ancient language and shit. Oh, yeah.
Spooky.
Spooky,
I
spooky.
I fucking bit that hook, line, and sinker when I watched that, and I was like, oh fuck, that's some real alien shit.
was
Alex
so good.
Jones. And then I went home and researched
Yeah.
it. I'm like, oh, it's just for the movie. Oh,
Yeah.
I
got-
did the same
I'm like-
thing, right?
I got
Because
duped.
they sell it on you so well. Like, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, what? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I was like,
Have you
oh,
guys
man.
watched the Haunting on Netflix? That's kind of creepy. Like it's not like scary, but like watching that alone, you're just like, ooh. Like
I don't know
like,
why, because it's
It's
I
spooky.
haven't watched the most recent season all the way through, but the first season, it was just so well done.
The first season was really. I liked Haunted Hill versus
Bly,
Bly House, like Bly Manor.
yeah,
Also, I want to see the original, like the one that it's actually based off of. Like I
Turn
know
of the
Scary
Screw?
Movie 2, Scary. No, that's Bly Manor. I mean, like the House on Haunted
House
Hill.
on to tell, yeah.
Oh, with the one with Vincent Price or the one with Liam Neeson?
Obviously, the Liam Neeson one's terrible, but then there's Scary Movie 2 that make fun of it as well. Like my
Yeah.
germs.
Yeah.
But I want to see the original. I didn't know it was Vincent Price, but
Terrorize y'all's neighborhood. You know that from
I definitely
Thriller?
I like horror movies, and I like horror movies now that I know like more about it and I can kind of see things coming. But yeah, sometimes you're just like, you know what? I don't mind being scared right now. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going home. Like my parents are that was the one of the thing with Evil Dead 2. It's just like, but I got to go home and my parents aren't there. They're gone for the weekend. Like I don't want to watch a horror movie right now.
right.
Nowadays, I'm like, you know what? I'll be fine. I'm
Yeah.
in an apartment building. Nothing ever scary happens in an apartment building. I mean, yeah,
True.
real life shit, but like nothing horror movies.
See, that's
It's
all the
always
true
houses.
crime. All the true crime stuff is way scarier to me. Like,
Oh
all the
yeah, because
unsolved
then you're like, that's
mystery,
real
like,
life.
This killer is still on the loose to this day.
Unsolved
whatever, right?
mysteries.
Yeah. I think one of the best scares ever in a movie is Insidious, where that fucking Darth Maul dude peeks around his head. You guys know what I'm talking?
Ooh, that was a good one.
Is that part of like the whole Annabelle world?
I have no
The
idea.
Insidious world?
Was it-
I think I've only seen the first one.
Annabelle, I didn't.
Like I remember people talked about. Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, it's all good. Annabelle was a scary one too. Yeah, it was Insidious the one with the lawnmower too, and did it cut out? Something about a lawnmower, I just remember. And then all of a sudden
I
they're
don't remember that.
no, okay.
Like I remember that, like a lot of people like Insidious. It's the scariest movie you'll see this year, or the scariest movie of the decade. But then they said the same thing for things like Hereditary, and I've seen Hereditary. It's not scary. It's just messed up. Have you guys seen like Hereditary and
I have not.
Midsommar?
No.
No.
Those movies are messed, man. Like they're just messed up. Like,
Yeah,
like they're
eh?
like scariest movies. Like I mean, it's spooky, but like it's just gross.
Obviously we have lots of horror influence and lack thereof. I don't know if I'd ever like consider myself like a horror aficionado or like a super horror fan. I've seen a lot in the genre. Obviously, there's so much to see.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think we're all the same, and I mean I can't speak for Monica, but just from all of our experiences, like we just like movies.
Yeah, exactly.
We enjoy watching movies. We're not like a fan of just one specific genre. We enjoy films. We enjoy being scared sometimes. We enjoy to laugh sometimes. We enjoy like a Fast and the Furious movie here and there
Exactly.
just for shits and giggles. Like
yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of the same point I was about to get to. But yeah, just like, horror is just like a fun genre to dip your toes in, and I've personally found like it's been such an amazing ride with this short and getting it into all these different horror festivals, and it's been
it definitely gives ideas to like we got to make more horror.
yeah, like
People love horror. We got to do more of this.
people
shit.
seem to like the genre, they like the film, and I found like the community of just horror fans, horror film festivals out there, it's a lot more like welcoming and inviting than
They're
it
so
was
nice
with-
for people who love blood and guts and gore and death.
right.
I think, and they're always like so open to seeing
So
something new,
nice.
something fresh, something from like a low budget. Like when you can think of like some of the lowest budget, like I think the most profitable movies, most of them are horror, right? Like Paranormal Activity was like barely any budget. Blair Witch, I think, was prior to that.
Oh, that's right.
just
Yeah, that was a good one.
These
too.
super cheap movies
Yeah.
make a ton of money because people love horror.
Yeah.
They like to be scared, or and
Yeah,
I don't know.
or they're just messed up. Like I knew someone who would go to sleep. Like people go to sleep sometimes watching movies. I can't do that because it's entertaining. But someone who actually fell asleep to Saw movies,
What?
and I could never get that.
No.
I was like, what?
No.
How?
No.
Ew.
They
I'll
they
fall
have
asleep-
some
I'll
childhood
fall asleep
traumas,
watching
but-
Friends.
Like, something's wrong.
But that's great though. I mean, if for them, if that's their thing, they love Saw, that guy whose voice.
Okay, there, Dexter. Like, no, thank you.
It's not for me. I don't know. To me, I've been falling asleep to Star Trek, so
Nice.
There you go. But see, that's like a nice, fun, slow. There's not like.
yeah,
I can see that.
everything ends up okay at the end of an episode usually. You know, unless
Like,
it's a
imagine,
two-parter.
Like imagine, but like you're almost falling asleep, all of a sudden like screaming, like that would terrify the crap out of me. Because like you're dazed, you don't even know where you are at that point, right? You're just like, oh right, I'm watching Saw. Hoo.
That would
Yeah, that's a
suck.
little strange. That's a little
It's weird.
strange.
It's
But
very weird.
to each their own.
To each their own, and just to say, people love horror, and you know what? Let's give them some horror.
Yeah.
Like, I am ready to just more than dip my toe in there. I'm going full body skinny dipping in there. All
Well,
horror.
you can keep your pants on, but okay. Well, as always, Matt and I are on the podcast. You can tweet at the podcast and let us know what you thought of the film, or let us know what you think of, or let us know about what your favorite horror films are. Monica, you can let people know where they can find you on the interwebs.
Yes. So I am on Instagram and Facebook. My gamer tag, it's all TH3 Rogue. Add me, follow me. I'll follow you back. Thanks for all your support. Appreciate it. And looking forward to doing more stuff.
That's great. And Matt, obviously you barely ever post on the internet, so it's not even worth mentioning your social media. So
Wow. You can find me on Facebook at my name.
yeah. And maybe 3 years down the road, he'll accept your friend request.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, actually, Matt, is Facebook sends you those things like it's your friend anniversary. And
Right.
it was like
we got one for 10 years.
Yeah, and
Aw.
I think most of the pictures weren't you and I. It was like
Really?
stuff we were tagged in of like movie pictures. Or there's like a photo of Brock. It's
That's
just kinda
so funny.
Well, I mean, turns out like Brock and you were like I was Facebook friends officially within days of each other. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was like for
was
like
new.
celebrate your 10 years with Adam, and then like 2 days later celebrate your 10 years with Brock. I was like, oh damn.
There's a lot of that, I'm sure, just because I avoided Facebook for the longest time. So
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, people don't even use Facebook anymore. That's
Not
crazy.
really, yeah.
It's like,
True.
oh, you're on Facebook? Like, yeah. What is that? Is that not cool anymore?
You got to be
Is
on
that not-
TikTok.
It's all about Instagram and Twitter and I guess TikTok now. I don't do the TikToking.
Yeah, you gotta dance or yell at people. One or the other. That seems to work.
Yeah, no original content whatsoever.
Nope.
Nope.
You want original content? Get out of here.
You steal somebody else's song, you dance to
Exactly.
it, and then other people steal that from you. That's the way of the world. But anyways, if you checked out the short, we really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoyed a bit about us rambling about movies and
And
about
if not,
the
well,
making of
then
this
why
film.
are you here?
Well, right, exactly. Anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with something new.
Game over, man. Game over.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Lost Commentary, on Instagram at Raiders of the Lost Commentary, and like us on Facebook.
I'll be back.